So without getting into what exactly they are individually talking about, I saw this one wrestling account on Twitter that made a point about, we know Sami Zayn has a stance based in his background, his family, whatever, and how for a really long time he was told that he couldn't speak about it, or he couldn't really say anything like directly about it because, it was political or it was controversial or whatever. Like, that people just didn't want him to say anything that would bring attention to a subject that they didn't want to be discussing in WWE, right? I would assume this was the old regime. Then there's this issue, non-issue, whatever. That's why I'm saying we're not talking about what they were talking about. But Logan Paul has just been deciding to go on Twitter and say whatever thought comes to his head, whether it's true, whether it's not true, no matter how controversial it is, blah, blah, blah. And so this account on Twitter pointed out how it feels like there are different rules for different people, and how Sami Zayn for a really long time, and for the most part still, has to be kind of like, has to pick and choose how he says things, and if he's allowed to. But then on the other hand, there's a guy like Logan Paul who is not monitored at all, like online. Like, WWE is just like, yeah, go ahead, say whatever you want, doesn't matter, like, and how that's unfair. And that's why I'm saying, like, the context doesn't necessarily matter. You don't have to agree with what they're saying, or you can agree with what they're saying. That's not it. That's like irrelevant. I do think that that is problematic, though, because you cannot have different rules for different people in your company, right? And the underlying value of it really is like political, right? Like, or whatever, social issues, political, whatever. And yet one person's allowed to say whatever he wants, the other person can't, which that also means that that's extended throughout the roster. It's not going to be limited to just Logan Paul and Sami Zayn, so I'm not implying that. But it also becomes more of an issue in my eyes when it's somebody like Logan Paul, who is an outsider technically, because he didn't like grow up and become a wrestler the traditional way.
The traditional way.
And he doesn't even show up that much, right? And he's a champion, and you're allowing him to say and do whatever he wants, but you're telling the guy that's been a veteran of your company, has busted his butt and still is, for years and years, that he has to be quiet about certain things. Like, I just think that's weird.
It sucks.
I don't know.
It sucks. I hate to be that guy that just says that's the way the world is, because it kind of is. And it sucks that Logan Paul can come in and use his brand outside of WWE to keep him safe, because like he's bringing more money into the company than he's losing them. So at the end of the day, they're going to even it out and just take it as a gain.
I think the issue is the bad press when it's something that's like this controversial, this polarizing, whatever. Like, I don't know if you saw what I'm referencing.
I've been swimming with fishes all day, so
okay. So I think that there's just certain things that you kind of have to be careful about, because you could argue that, this could make WWE look bad, depending, like, and I'm not speaking on if I agree, if I don't agree. I'm just saying there's certain things that, like, based off of what we could assume, that is part of the reason why they've tried to monitor or silence Sami in a certain way. To a certain point, I'm sorry, about things that he wants to talk about. But that same standard is not then being put on somebody else. And this is somebody who has a history for being controversial and saying controversial things, and like, that's his reputation, you know what I mean? So it's like, it was already risky for them to take him on, which we all knew. But that's why I'm saying, it's like, if he's going to represent your company, especially as a champion, then shouldn't he have stricter a strict, a tighter leash on him than someone like Sami Zayn. Like if we're supposed to believe that he has the part of the reason why they brought him in was because he's going to bring in this whole new audience, then wouldn't you want to make sure that he's representing your company in the best way possible and that it's not like a poor reflection of you? You know what I mean? Like it's just,
I do.
I
It's
think
just oh, it's
it's
so
just if you're gonna let it happen with one guy, then let it happen with the other. Like if you're just gonna say whatever, we don't care if that gets bad press or people have an opinion on it that's not favorable to us or to them or to the company, whatever, then let that be a thing that goes for everybody. That's basically what I'm trying to say at the end of the day. Because you knew that it was risky to take in Logan Paul because of his reputation and the history of his life being on the internet. We know like none of that is going to go away. So I feel like they should be a little bit better about just making sure that he doesn't make it worse. You know what I mean? Because now they're directly connected to him. Before it was, oh, Logan did something stupid or said something stupid. It's just on him. But this is now, it's like, oh, but he's the US champion. He works in WWE. Triple H must be okay with this or whatever.
yeah, it's oh man. I'm just reading it now, and
Yeah, I'm not
a
trying
lot
to
of
talk
thoughts
about.
are. No, I know you're
Yeah.
not, and all I will say about it is that it is something that exactly what we're doing. You just don't bring it up, and if you do, like I don't. I think everyone would just want to stay away from it. I really have no idea what to say about this. I'm not good at this
Well,
type of thing.
yeah, and that's why I'm saying like I'm trying to make
Like
it
I
into
don't.
it's a generalized thing. That's why I'm saying it doesn't
Oh no, I'm
the
going. I'm going off of
the
you. Yeah,
context of what they each have said or
that's the
have wanted to
thing.
talk
That's the
about,
thing.
whatever, is irrelevant. It's just at the end of the day, the same rules should be applied to everybody in your company. You shouldn't be making exceptions for people simply because of their reach or whatever it might be that it looks like they might be doing for Logan. So I think that's unfair. If anything, you should be showing more respect to the guy that has been in your company and represented you well,